Torah Life Ministries come out of the world. Messiah people seek the truth.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show and Torah Life Ministries, and we are looking at this coming week's Torah portion. And the reason why I look at the Torah portion is the Torah is the foundation of all scripture. You can have a beautiful house built on some land that doesn't have a good foundation, and it just takes a little wind to come and it'll knock down the house. Well, if you have a solid foundation and the house is come upon by a storm or something, that house is going to stand strong for the longest amount of time. And the enemy is like the storm. The enemy is the wind. And if you don't have a good foundation, you're not going to know scripture. You're not going to understand the new covenant. You're not going to understand what Yeshua Messiah is saying. You're not going to understand why the people are doing what they're doing. You're basically going to be like a Christian. And I'm not Christian bashing. I'm just saying what the average church is doing today. They're not looking at that foundation. As a matter of fact, they're taking a good foundation and throwing it away and try to build a nice pretty house on top of just sand. And the scriptures talk about that very clearly, but we're up to the 52nd reading in this year's Torah portion, and it's Deuteronomy 31, 1 to 30. And we're going to look at this, and we see some very important things here. And remember, even though it says Moses was talking to the people at that time, before the people went to the promised land, this is what they should do. Well, if you're living in slavery or bondage of Babylon, if you're living in a worldly system today and you get saved by Messiah, just like the children got out of the slavery of Egypt and had to go through the desert and then cross over to the river to get into the promised land, well, it's the same thing. You've left your slavery, and now you have to go into your promised land of living a life of Messiah. And that includes following his instructions. So just like when Moses gave the children the instructions back then, before they go into the land, this is what they had to remember and what they had to do. We too, before we can be serious about our walk with Messiah, this is what we have to do. We cannot be like the children back then who left the slavery and bondage and ways of Egypt while they were walking around in the desert. But the ways and the slavery and the bondage of Egypt did not leave them. So we can't say, well, now I'm a believer, so I'm gonna still in my heart want to do the things that I did before I was saved. No, you're to love the things he loves and hate the things he hates, and you're to hate the life that you loved when you were not saved. Well, we look at it here. It says, Moses and spoke, this is in Deuteronomy 31:1. Moses went and spoke the following words to all Israel, to all of Israel. Who is Israel? Israel are those that claim Yeshua as Messiah. It's not just a place where you're from. It's not just a place where you live or where you're going. It's not just if you're Jewish or not Jewish. All those that claim Yeshua as Messiah is Israel. And Moses will speak to them back then in the desert, and he's speaking to you right now. All of Israel. He said, I'm 120 years old. 120 years old. And even though he said I can't get around any longer, he was getting around. He was climbing mountains at 120 years old. When he goes, you will not, our Creator told Moses he will not cross the Jordan, but he did tell the children that I will destroy the nations ahead of you if you follow my word and you listen to what I would say. It says in 31:5, he will defeat them ahead of you, and you are able, and you are to do them just as I have ordered, the commandments, the guidelines, and instructions. Then he gives them these instructions: be strong and be brave. Be strong and be brave. That's the instructions he gave them. Be bold. Don't be afraid or frightened by them, for he, your Creator, is with you. You will neither fail or he will not abandon you. So we remember that. You don't have to have fear. Remember when the children went into were spying out the land, and the spies came back and they were all scared that the land had giants and everyone else, and they were scared. Well, back then he told them the same thing: be strong and be brave, regardless of these reports, even though they were false, even if they were true. Be like Joshua. Be like Caleb. We don't fear them because our Creator is with us. So we don't have to run. We don't have to be scared. We just have to listen and be obey. It goes on to say, be strong and be bold again. It goes on to say in chapter of Deuteronomy 31:8. It goes, be strong and be bold. So that's another time he said that. But let's look at this scripture here. Chapter 31:7 says, Next, Moshe summoned Joshua in the sight of Israel and said to him, Be strong and bold, for you are going to the people, to the land that he swore to your ancestors he would give you. You will be the one causing them to inherit it. This was to Joshua. But he said, It is he who will go ahead of you, a wonderful creator. This is what Moses is telling him. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. So don't be afraid or downhearted. Stay strong. Stay bold. That's the instructions. Then Moses wrote down the Torah and gave it to the Kohanim, the descendants of Levi, who carried the ark with him. And at the end of 7 years, they were told to read the whole Torah to all the people. Every 7 years, they were told to read it to the people, so the people wouldn't forget. It says every 7 years, our cells change in our body. Every 7 years, we change, and from going to be a baby to an infant to a child to a young adult to an adult, and so on. Every 7 years, the children were to read the Torah. And that doesn't mean you can't read it other times, but you need to make sure every 7 years you've read the whole Torah. It goes on to say, obey the words of this Torah, so that the children who have not known can hear to learn to fear our wonderful Creator, and learn and see what He did, how He did it, and when He did it. But you know who the greatest prophet was of all of Scripture, right? It was our wonderful Creator Himself. He was the prophet, and He told people what would happen, and He passed it on to Moses, and He said to Moses here, the people will get up and offer themselves as prostitutes to the foreign gods of the land where they are going. When they are with those gods, they will abandon me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger will flare up, and I will abandon them and hide my face from them. They will be devoured by many calamities, and troubles will come upon them. Hello, guess where we are right now? Hello, guess where we were as soon as the children went into the promised land? This is what's happening today. They abandoned Him. They're not listening to Him. They're mingling the seed. And He says, I will hide my face from them because of the evil that they have done in turning to other gods. They will go into the land, they will disobey me, they will just eat their ways to their pleasures and go fat in a land, mingling the seed, doing everything I asked them not to do. But it goes ahead and said again to Joshua, Moses commissioned Joshua. He's going to take him into the promised land, commission him to be strong and have courage, and all will be well with them. But those that listen, all will be well with them. Those that disobey, He will abandon them. So then a song is given. He says, sing this song, and we'll be seeing that in next week's Torah portion, the song that should have been sung or should be sung. For I know the rebellious and stiff-necked how they are. If you didn't follow me when I was here, how much so after I am gone? This was the instructions Moses gave them. And then he gives them the songs. Folks, we have a promised land waiting for us. Be strong and stay obedient to the word of our Creator, and He will bless you. If you have any questions or comments, post them below the video. This is Paul Neeson, your Health Watchman, with this coming week's Torah portion. We have a couple more left before we start the cycle all over again. Remember, build that solid foundation so all will be well with you. Until then, everybody, have a great day, and shalom, shalom.
Ministries come out of the world. Messiah people seek the truth.